Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
Now, the National Housing Federation claims 82,000 homes for the most vulnerable people could be forced to close because of planned housing benefit cuts. The Chancellor announced in November that the benefits would be capped at the market rate. And it's now feared that older people and those with disabilities in particular could be affected because their needs force them to pay higher rents. The government denies the claim but is being forced by Labour to defend itself in a Commons debate tomorrow. Our health and social care correspondent Victoria MacDonald has been to one hostel in Brighton which says it's under threat.
Behind these curtains is a 52-bed hostel for the homeless, for those with drug and alcohol problems or mental health issues. It's staffed 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Despite appearances, security is tight. We were allowed access as long as we didn't identify those living here. But the reason we were allowed in was because of plans announced in last year's autumn statement.
The rate of housing benefit in the social sector will be capped at the...
From April 2018, social tenants will only receive housing benefit at the same level as the private sector, even if they have higher needs like the homeless, elderly or disabled. And it applies to new tenancies from this April.
In this project in particular, we will lose out on £36 per week per resident. Now that might not sound a lot for an individual, but we have 52 residents here, and that then we're talking about many thousands of pounds in the course of a year.
This hostel, he said, would close, and the under 35s would be affected because they already receive less housing benefit. The gap between what they're given and what they need would be too great for housing trusts.
The big announcement in the autumn statement was, of course, the Chancellor's decision to reverse cuts to the working tax credit. But that still left him needing to find money from somewhere, so he looked to the housing benefit bill. But what people who run hostels like this are claiming is that the government hasn't thought through the implications of this, particularly of its impact on the most vulnerable.
And this is who it's for. Luke, once homeless with chronic drug and alcohol problems until he was given a place at the hostel.
I was mentally broken. I was in and out of hospital constantly with due to substance misuse, overdoses, accidents, incidents. My physical health was deteriorating at a rapid rate of knots. I wasn't eating. I was down to about 11.5 stone. And I was really depressed. I was just so unhappy. I can't put it into words how unhappy I really was.
So to be housed and helped with his addiction, he argues, has saved money. Yet figures released today by the National Housing Federation reveals that 82,000 homes for the most vulnerable could be forced to close because of these cuts.
I'm trying to get answers about the assessment they've made about this impact, and there is none. I'm trying to get answers about the number of people who may be hit by this, and the government have no answers to that. Above all, I'm trying to tell them how serious these cuts will be.
But the Department of Work and Pensions said this is unnecessary scaremongering which does nothing to help those it purports to represent. The truth is that nothing will change until 2018. They also said they were providing £870 million to help with the reforms. The Housing Association is not convinced it will be enough. And Luke, he says it's a false economy because people will only end up back on the streets, in hospitals and locked up in prison.
I've been getting away with it all.